Hi everyone, how are you doing? This is Amanda. So it is the 29th of December 2020, right at the end of the year, about to go into a brand new year. And I was planning to sit down today and do a look into January, but Metatron very clearly said to me, no, go back and consolidate on what the teachings were in 2020 because A, the ground still needs to be trodden in. By that, he means that there's still a lot of learning that still needs to be done from the core teaching that came through from me and my team of helpers in 2020. And a lot of the teachings are going to be just as relevant for next year. And then, of course, we will add on to it. So he asked me to go and look at what were the 10 most viewed and most liked videos on my channel here at Amanda Ellis and to do a top 10 rundown of them. Now, when I looked last night, first thing to say is I think lots of you were thinking I was going to be spending hours reviewing every single video. I didn't need to do that because YouTube has this neat little trick if you're a creator on here whereby you can find out which are your most popular and least popular videos. It breaks it down by everything, by country, by age group, by male, female. It's really quite fascinating actually. My core audience, which is probably you if you're watching this, is very consistent, and thank you so much for watching the vast majority of the work that I do. But yes, there are always going to be more popular and least popular videos that are made in any year. I have to say the two least popular ones, I roared with laughter, and I'm just going to say what they are here, and then we'll get to the top 10, although I'm actually going to make it top 15. Do you know what this is without taking into account a couple of little videos I made where I was just announcing there was a video about to come or something like that. The least watched video on this channel was titled Patience is a Virtue. I think we have to be able to laugh at ourselves because I think that patience is something that we all need to learn. I absolutely 100% know it's one of the things that I came in to learn in this lifetime. I have many situations in my life which I've often say would test the patience of a saint. So, in all seriousness, Patience is a Virtue was the least watched video of this year. I guess people didn't have the patience to watch it, or just it triggered, it's like we don't want to hear about patience. I think we live in a fast-paced world where we want instant results and we want it now, and we want the answer now, and we want the answer to be black or white. And sometimes the answer isn't black or white, sometimes the answer is very grey. And indeed, a lot of my teaching this year has been about the middle path and about needing to embrace many different perspectives, and usually you'll arrive at the truth if you do that. So yeah, Patience is a Virtue was the least watched video, followed by, and this is where, apart from my core group that watch me, there is so much work to do to get this work out there to an even bigger audience in 2021. The second least watched video was entitled Stay in the Light, Not the Doom Energy. Stay in the light, not the doom energy. And I guess, I haven't watched it back, but that video would have been about not going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, but trying to stay aligned to higher truths, higher principles, higher frequencies, because in that way you transform anything that's down there anyway. So yeah, those are the two least liked and watched videos. But now we're going to get to the 15 top videos of 2020. I also will say I was completely gobsmacked because YouTube tells me that I have had 4 million views on this channel over the last year. Thank you all very much for contributing to that. The people that liked them, the people that really didn't like them, the people that got triggered by them, the people that came to this channel, the people that left this channel, you've all made it what it is, so thank you. So yes, top 15. Before we do that, I will just tell you there were a few videos that didn't quite make the top 15, but were bubbling under, as we say, and I'll just tell you what they are. I've obviously also taken into account the fact that my channel has grown through the year. So some of the more recent videos in the last couple of months, or even the last couple of weeks, I'm not including them because obviously they reflect the fact that my channel is bigger than it was 12 months ago. I've really just taken a look at what were the videos that seemed to inspire people, spark an interest, and were then backed up by the highest viewing figures. The one that is at the number one spot, I would not have guessed in a million years, and nobody yet has guessed what it was either, because I gave a little precursor that I was going to be doing this video yesterday. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what the results are, don't read the description box. Probably too late, I should have said that at the start. But anyway, let's get to it. So bubbling under the top 15, I feel like I need a bell or something. I need something dramatic here. What shall I use? I've got lots of musical instruments here. I actually want a bell. I'm actually going to go and get a bell. Hold on a minute. Good example of using I knew these would come into use one day. So apologies if you've got headphones on, but I'm going to ring the bell for each one. So bubbling under the top 15 were good old Doreen Virtue. So we had the Christ and Metatron answering Doreen Virtue video that did extremely well in the last few months. I loved doing that video because I felt that the energy that came through from both Christ and Metatron together as a team was absolutely sublime. And I've always known that all of the Ascended Masters work together anyway. And I think it was a perfect demonstration of that. There was also a beautiful meditation, stroke moment, stroke transmission at the end of that video, where Christ and Metatron were visibly together and giving a combined message, and also showing their love for each other, which I thought was very, very beautiful. Another video that nearly made it into the top 15 views was one I did on the Schumann resonance. I think we all now are much more aware of the ups and downs of the Schumann resonance, which basically is measuring the vibration of Mother Earth. And certainly from my own perspective, 2020 was the year when I absolutely understood, before the graph showed me whatever was going on with the Schumann resonance, that it was about to either peak or go into a big trough, or indeed flatline. Well, it never completely flatlines, but there were some anomalies with regards to the Schumann resonance in 2020. The recording data showing blank spaces. That video looked at that, and I found that really interesting to do. And I'm sure it's a subject that we're going to be coming back to again and again over next year. But definitely us stepping into the fact that we are actually geo-empaths, we're earth empaths, who is able, and we are able to tune into what is going on with our mother, and I'm talking about Mother Earth here, when she's feeling at a particularly high vibrational peak state, or when she's actually slumped a little bit. So we and her are very much obviously in tune, because we are her and she is us. Another video that did really well was Earth School, Be Your Own Guru. Really pleased about that one, because that was basically throwing the gauntlet back to all of us, myself included, which is that we all need to be following our own truth. We need to be listening more to our own higher self. We need to be letting go of what other people are telling us as gospel. I remember saying not even the gospels are gospel because they were written decades after the events. So this thing about hero worship and guru worship and hanging on somebody's word because they say it is so, and that seems to become even more present the more popular that a person becomes. It's as though popularity and fame seem to bestow upon the one that they are speaking 100% truth and accuracy. And if you're a human being, you are never going to be 100% accurate or 100% in truth, because you have your own ego, you have your own bias that can come into anything, however good you are. Okay, so be your own guru is basically throwing the gauntlet back to you and saying, you know, does this resonate for me? Does this not? Take what does, leave what doesn't. I've said that for years on my channel. Okay, and I always want people to do that when they listen to me as well. We also had the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris video that I think was about number 16 or 17. Game-changing energy, I called that. On balance, most people liked the video. Some didn't, primarily because they don't like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. But I try very hard with my political readings to stay neutral and to just, I actually find it fascinating to just go in and feel into the energy that I am tuning into, whether that is good, bad, or indifferent. And I stand by what I said in that video 100%. I will be looking at America again after the inauguration, because I'm not going to put myself in the firing line needlessly before that date, okay? Because I know that some people think that he's not going to be inaugurated, other people think he is. I've said what I think is going to happen, and I will come back to the subject of America and the way forward towards the middle or end of January. Okay, so that will happen. The other one, I just liked the title of the video more than anything, was one I did in March 2020, and I called it Hymn to the Silence. Hymn to the Silence. It's a nod to that beautiful song by Van Morrison. And I didn't appreciate how prophetic that title was going to be and that video was going to be when I made it. Hymn to the Silence. If you know the song, it's all about just this, it's a song that just peters out basically into silence. You know, it's this, and it reflected the way the world went, which was the world went from this very busy, frantic state pre-first lockdown to a more silent, hushed place. Then, of course, we came out of our lockdowns, then we might have gone back into lockdowns. But that whole melody, that whole wave, Hymn to the Silence, I just think was very accurate in terms of where we were being led by spirit. And still are being led. Hymn to the Silence is about being led back into ourself, back into our own heart, back into our own truth. Beautiful, beautiful song. I love Van Morrison and I love that song. So let's get to the top 15, shall we? Let's do it. Okay. Right, I won't ring my bell every time because otherwise it might make a bit of a noise. But anyway, here we go. Number 15. I also am enjoying doing this video because it shows, hopefully, to those of you that don't know what I do on this channel, the variety of what I do, because I do cover a lot of different subjects. I'm also going to pull a couple of new cards for subjects like the one that's at number 15. Just to try and bring it up to date, but I'm going to do it really, really quickly. Otherwise, we will be here for hours. So, number 15, 15th most viewed video and liked video on my channel in 2020 was Madeline McCann, Smoke and Mirrors. This was a video where I went back into the energy of the missing child, Madeleine McCann, and it was prompted by a new suspect that just appeared, as they always appear, every May, which is the anniversary of her disappearance. And it's always a red herring. It's always something which is taking you away from actually the truth of what happened to her and who probably was involved in it. I also, at that time, put up my original Madeline McCann video that I had had to take down, years previously because of threats to myself, basically. But I also knew it was safe to re-put it up because a lot of other people had said the same subsequent to, what I had said years previously. But also I felt that the energy had shifted and it was safe to do so. But yeah, that update video, Smoke and Mirrors, was the 15th most watched video. And I have to say that the call to action was really just to say, so I'm looking down at my notes, not to believe what you were being fed by the media, which is that we have this culprit who has suddenly appeared from nowhere. They were presenting a lot of evidence that this guy had done it. This chap in particular is somebody who I think was in prison. Whether he still is or not, I don't know. Obviously, a shady character who'd been involved in all sorts of other crimes. So it wasn't about necessarily sticking up for him. It was just saying you're pointing the finger at the wrong target. Okay, it's not there. 6 months on, however long it is, longer than that if it was May. Of course, he has not been arrested, and because he was never the one. So just become aware every May, next May, if this case still hasn't solved itself, that there will be somebody else that comes back into the frame. One day, I hold out. I'm going to light a candle for Maddie here. That the truth will out for her. Let's just light a candle for Madeleine McCann, and let's light a candle for all of the missing children in our world, because Maddie, I believe, is a child that came in to highlight the number of children that do go missing in our world. Also raising the subject of child abuse as well. So I'm not going to say too much more on this video. It's all there in the video that I did. And I still have that mark on my dressing table. Do you remember? Spirit often gives me signs and messages when I am very linked into the subject matter in hand or the person in hand. And on the day that I was making the Madeleine McCann video, I was sitting at my dressing table, and it was a brand new dressing table. I'd only got it a couple of weeks previously, and I had a perfume bottle which had been sitting on it and my old dressing table for, to be perfectly honest, probably a year. It was perfume I didn't use. It was a Victoria's Secret perfume bottle. And the perfume had leaked all over the new dressing table. It had congealed underneath the bottle. And when I took the bottle up, there was like a coffin-shaped or a grave-shaped hole, space. It had actually taken the paintwork off that bit of my dressing table. Every time I sit down every morning, I still see that stain, that mark, and it's almost like a reminder of Maddie and to not give up the fight, and that the truth will eventually come. And I don't know, well, I do know why. I'm sitting here and I'm just suddenly, as I'm talking about Maddie, I'm just seeing this Andara crystal lighting up, which is linking into violet energy, purification, transmutation, Archangel Zadkiel, Saint Germain. Please asking the violet flame to surround this case so that the smoke and mirrors is able to be dissipated so that the truth eventually can come out and Maddie can be laid to rest. Thank you, so be it. Okay, I'm going to pull a card for Madeline. Now I've got, I don't know, God knows how many decks, 80 decks probably. What deck do I want to use for Madeleine McCann? Just going to pull one card. Okay, I'm going to go to this one. Oracle of the Seven Energies by Colette Baron Reid. Let's just see what Spirit wants to say today with regard to the subject of Madeleine McCann. Straight away, I'm feeling like a panic in my chest. I think the panic may be linked into the truth eventually coming out, and certain parties in a panicked state. Okay, can you see that? The cards have just gone everywhere. Well, the cards have gone everywhere, but that's the one that's on top of the deck. And we've got Waking the Lion. Waking the Lion has come up for Maddie. That takes me to Leo season, July. Maybe it's got something to do with July, next summer. Leo season, Lion's Gate. Card number 19. 19 is linked into rebirth, resurrections, and new beginnings. I've also got the Rose's Kiss, card number 9. Waking the Lion, Rose's Kiss. To me, that's just saying that Spirit are on this. They're on this. And to me, the lion is about courage, strength, conviction. The lion always gets its prey. But what I mean by this is that I feel that the prey is the guilty ones who will be brought to justice by the energy of the lion, which is linked into true nobility and justice. So she's got the lion energy. The lion energy is with her. I seem to remember now, it's coming back to me, that when I've channeled Maddie before, she always comes in with an animal. And I think last time I saw her, she was either with a horse or a unicorn. Well, this time she's coming in with a lion, for whatever reason. She's very linked into the animal kingdom. Okay, so number 15 was Madeline McCann. Number 14, let's go to 14. Number 14, there are 3 appearances of Heart Squad in my top 15. And 2 of them are probably quite obvious. But this one is like, oh my goodness, you made the top 15. I'm so happy. I don't know whether you're going to guess who it is. Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman. Now, whether this was because I released this around Valentine's Day, I actually released it on Valentine's Day, and it was called Truly, Madly, Deeply. So a bit of a nod to the whole love energy, or not, I don't know. I think it's a bit of that. I also think it's the fact that a lot of us secretly love Alan. We secretly love Alan. And yeah, so Alan Rickman video was number 14. Now I'm just going over what I actually talked about, because to be honest, when I channel, I'm there in the moment and then I forget what I've said. So I'm just looking at my own notes, which are on all of my videos. I actually write a little resume of what's in every video anyway. So what I wrote was, spend some time in Alan Rickman's company with me. A perfect antidote to the current maelstrom of heavy energy. Alan is witty, intelligent, thought-provoking, and an absolute joy to channel. He's sitting over there in that corner, I can see him. He's quite pleased he's made the top 15. He says it was always about numbers, and he's talking about films and TV. It's always about bums on seats, is what he's saying. So he's just smiling wryly as he does, and he's got his legs crossed. We also talked about the fact that he died in 2016, where there was this mass exit of celebrities. He was one of them. David Bowie also died the same week as Alan Rickman, and they were all from the same soul group. We also talked about the fact that Alan Rickman played Archangel Metatron in a film. And that's right, what surprised me was the fact that Alan was saying that he was still continuing his work with Metatron. And what came through was the fact that he was a really, really old soul, Alan, really old soul. He obviously talked also about the importance of culture and the arts to counter an increasingly robotic world. I have to say that with lockdowns and the whole year that we've all had, I have so missed culture. And I say that not as somebody who every week was going to see a play. And in fact, the previous Christmas, December 2019, before we knew what was coming in for next year, I remember going to Sadler's Wells in London and sitting through The Red Shoes, which is a ballet. And if I'm honest, 2/3 of it I spent thinking, is it nearly is it time for the ice cream? And now I look back with horror. It's like, my God, Amanda, you had that moment where you were at Sadler's Wells, you were watching the red shoes. Why were you not more enthralled? I got more enthralled towards the end of it, but now I'm appreciating what I took for granted. Film, art galleries. I want to go up to and see, the National Gallery in Trafalgar Square. In fact, I have a date with one of you. One of you is coming. I've already said that to the National Gallery, so you know who you are. But yeah, he talked about the importance of culture and arts to counter this increasingly robotic world. I think he may have got into a little bit of a discussion on AI as well, artificial intelligence. Maybe that was another one of the Heart Squad, can't quite remember. He also paid tribute to his wife and partner of 50 years, Rima. We talked about voice, and Alan had a voice that could melt anybody's heart. It was as smooth as honey, as deep as I don't know what, just the most gorgeous voice. And he talked about how voices can heal, and the vibration that our voice holds. And this is a quote from Alan that is in that video. He said, "If you have a potty mouth, you become that." It's so true, isn't it? If you have a potty mouth, you become that. There was also this funny thing when I was doing the channeling with Alan, which is that I, said goodbye, finished off the video, and then I came back twice, and it was Alan coming back for 2 final encores on stage. Also came through that he very much was coming through to say, I'm happy to mentor anybody interested in the arts and culture. And I ended by saying he was one of the kindest, chattiest, funniest souls I have yet channeled. Love him. So you're going to be coming back soon, aren't you, Alan? Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. Okay, I'm not going to get into go too much in depth in terms of new material, otherwise we're never going to finish this video. But number 14, Alan Rickman. Thank you. Number 13, let's get to 13. He's taking a bow, and for some reason he's dressed as the figure that he played in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He's dressed like that for some reason. Okay, number 13, 13th most popular video was the Lionsgate one that I did for 8/8, which was called Empty Your Pockets. Now this is a more recent video, but it was one which included a short meditation, which took me back a little bit when I channeled it through, because I think it was one of the first times where I really felt that I needed to say to us, myself included, I always include myself in what I'm saying to you, which was that we shouldn't have an expectation, which can be an arrogance, that we have a God-given right to go through every single portal, which is about upgrade, if we have not done the work. And so it was called Empty Your Pockets because it was asking us to be humble and to be able to let go of any low vibrational energy, any words of aggression, any prejudice, any judgment that we were holding on that particular day, so that we were in the right energy state to be able to even receive an upgrade. I do think there's been something within our spiritual community, and I've been guilty of it as well, which is almost as though there's been this expectation that it's our God-given right, when there is a portal, when there is a solstice, that we receive the gift. Well, yes, okay, but help me. Okay, Metatron's saying it's correct. He said it's correct that you will receive the gift. But he's showing me it's a bit like a toy that you're given. Okay, this is the analogy he's giving me. It's like a new shiny toy. But he's saying unless you've done the work, you're not going to know how to play with that toy. You're not going to know how to get the most out of it. You're just going to be left with a toy that looks good, feels good, but actually ultimately is just put on a shelf, because you and the toy, you and the gift, you and the frequency are not in alignment. So Lionsgate 8/8 video, Empty Your Pockets, this year, for me was the first time where Spirit were quite stern in the fact that, no, you're before the gate now, empty your pockets and be humble. And I think the human race generally, we've almost forgotten what it is to be humble sometimes. But it is so much part of the spiritual path, humbleness. Humbleness and meekness, which doesn't mean weakness. It means simplicity is what I'm hearing, getting back to a more simplified state of being. And the simplified state of being is ultimately being in alignment with love. So, and we also had the help of those two beautiful lions, Clarissa and Hubert, who had just died, I think a few weeks previously, in America, and they led us through. One of you sent me a painting of Clarissa and Hubert, and I've got it upstairs. I haven't actually framed it yet, but it's on my list of prints to frame, and it will come out again next year because I feel as though those two lions aren't going anywhere. It also says, I don't remember channeling this, but it also says in that video that I mentioned gun changes coming to the USA. I have talked about guns before on this channel, and usually it's come up around a portal time, because what I've always been told, to me it's obvious, I'm sorry, but to me it's obvious, is that you don't take a gun through a portal. You don't walk through a portal of peace with a gun in your pocket. I'm sorry, there's just no exceptions. So if that triggers people, it triggers people. But, I think I brought up the subject again in that 8/8 video. I don't think actually many people even commented on the gun aspect of it. So they certainly did the first time I mentioned it, but maybe there's progress being made. Okay, let's get to number 12. I feel like I need to ring the bell again. Right, number 12, quite a serious video, was Ghislaine Maxwell, Julian Assange, Naya Rivera and the Melbourne lockdown. That was a potent quartet that I looked at, wasn't it? So I think I'm going to pull a card for Ghislaine and a card for Julian, but let's just see what the video was about. So what I was talking about in that video was it looked like she was going to cut a deal and would sing like a canary. Now I think as I'm making this, she's just been denied bail. So she hasn't sung like a canary yet, but I mean, there's still time. So that's what I was channeling, a few months ago. I was also aware there was a very powerful male figure around her, possibly a Taurian, who may help her escape justice, either via nefarious ends or her life is in danger. What I felt with Ghislaine was, I was going to say very little. I'm actually going to go further. Zero empathy, zero remorse on her part for the predicament that she now finds herself in. I'm going to pull a card on her, but I also like to say something about channeling and tuning into people who are of a heavier, lower vibration. Because around this time, of course, lots of people were saying to me, will you channel Jeffrey Epstein? And I didn't, and I made a conscious choice not to do so. And I'd like to say something about that. You could say, well, you looked at Ghislaine, why didn't you look at God, his name's gone out of my... Isn't that interesting? His name has even gone out of my head. Jeffrey. Literally, that's what it is, because Metatron was like, no, don't go there. How interesting. He just blanked me out again. Don't go there. The reason is, it's because of the way that I channel. People channel in different ways. There are many teachers out there. There are many people that do card readings. There are many psychics. There are many healers, etc. Everybody does it in their own different way. The way that I do it, which is basically self-taught and also Metatron has sort of taught me, is that I often I take in the energy of the person I'm linking into. It's not trance channeling in that I become them, but certainly parts of their energy 100% enter my body. And I can, for example, feel, like I did earlier, the panic in my body when I was tuning into the mother and the father. But it can be much worse than that. And I didn't want Jeffrey's energy in me, basically. It's as simple as that. And Metatron warned me against it. That does not mean that anybody that has done it was wrong to do it. They may have a different instrument, i.e. physical body, to me. Of course they do. My physical instrument, my body, I'm just so sensitive and so empathic. He's actually saying to me, you would have felt dirty for days, and he didn't want that for me. So that's why I won't go there. Ghislaine, okay, he is telling me one thing here. He's saying you were able to go into Ghislaine's energy because there's a well, it's like a wasteland. There's no emotion there. With Jeffrey, there was pleasure. There was more pleasure that came from his crimes. And I don't even want to go there. I'm going to just let that go. I'm going to pull a card for Ghislaine. Which one? We're going to go for this one. Okay. This is the Ashley Cook Tarot. They're saying to use this deck. I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm just going to pull a card for Ghislaine. As of today, January, no, it's not January. Okay, I've gone into January for some reason. Okay, let's just pull a card then for January for Ghislaine Maxwell, all right? I'm going to say something here that I almost don't want to say, but I have to say what I get given by Spirit. I have my own feelings about Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh gosh, can you see what card's on the bottom of the deck? The Devil. Okay. Okay, let me just say what I'm going to say. I have my own feelings about Ghislaine Maxwell. As a mother, as a woman, I cannot understand how anybody could have behaved as she did. But that's not what I'm being asked to do here. That's my view. That's my perspective. I am hearing there's a part of it where she was also a victim. That doesn't mean that she didn't also create victims. She procured victims for him and others, but she was in the devil's snare. She was trapped by the devil. What's the card on the top of the deck? The Eight of Cups. And the Devil. I mean, it shows a woman. It does show her here with a bit of like, oh, regret. I don't feel regret though. It's almost like she's blanked off. I don't think she was ever that empathic or sensitive, because you couldn't have been to have done what she's done. You just couldn't. Take that feeling away, thank you very much. Don't want to feel that. But now she's completely deadened all of her emotions. She may play the victim. She may play, oh, maybe this is what I'm tuning in. She may play the part of the victim. Maybe that's what I'm tuning into. She may play the part of the victim. Look at that, that's like, poor me. Poor me. Look what the devil made me do. Poor me, look what the devil made me do. Okay, I don't want to go any deeper into that because I'm feeling it in my body. This is what I mean. You've got to be careful. Right. Let's put those cards down. We have some water. She's going to play the victim card. That's what it was. What am I doing? Julian Assange. Okay, let's look at Julian Assange. Actually, I just need to... Hold on a minute. Where's my white? Wait. Oh, this will do. Yeah, this will more than do. Let's just do a bit of white sage. Justice will be done is what I'm hearing. Okay. we're talking about my 12th most popular video, if you're just tuning in. Okay, we also looked at Julian Assange in that video. Now, what did I say? Things still looking very tough for him. He has a strong crucifixion energy around him, but he is strong and has enormous spiritual protection, both angelic and galactic. The highest timeline outcome is still a pardon, hopefully in this lifetime. And we need to focus on the Blu-ray to help him. Well, there's been some energy, hasn't there, and talk about will Trump pardon him. Now, Trump is pardoning a lot of people, rightly or wrongly at the moment. My gut feel when I was trying to tune into this last night was, I'm going to pull some cards on it, but I almost felt like, look at that, 7 of Cups as I did that. Almost, Julian would of course like a pardon, but he wants it to be for the right reasons, at the right time, from the right person. Sorry guys, but that's what I'm feeling. If Trump were to pardon him, I feel as though it might have a slight taint to it, because some of the other people that Trump is pardoning, there's like a question mark energy in the air. So it would be cleaner if the pardon came from a different administration, or even or even a different country. You know, it doesn't have to be Trump. I mean, Julian's in the UK, right? Isn't he? Yes, he's in the UK. I don't want to use this deck. I have got the Sun card that's come out. I was saying I don't want to use that card. I want to use the Starseed Oracle for Julian, because he's such a strong galactic energy. He's such a starseed. So let's pull a card for Julian. I mean, a weaker man would not have survived this far, so it's testament to his lion heart, actually, that he's still with us. Julian Assange, 1 card, please. There's an energy with Julian at the moment of resignation. That doesn't mean weakness, but I'm hearing resigned to my fate, resigned to his fate. That can be changed. That's just one strand of energy. That's how he's feeling today. How interesting. Julian Assange. It says inner earth. It says you'll survive this. It says you'll survive this. New solutions and beginnings. But what is absolutely fascinating, this card, which I've never even seen before in this deck, says none of this matters. Zoom out. Find common ground. Wow. None of this matters. Zoom out. Common ground. Look at that. That's Earth being viewed from a really, really high perspective. The Earth looks like a little tiny pinprick. This is the galactic energy. Wherever Julian comes from is far, far away from this little bit of rock here, which is Earth. Whatever's going on Earth, whatever's happening to him on Earth, from a higher soul perspective, because he's a huge soul, none of it actually matters. Because you'll survive this. I don't know how to read it. I don't know whether that means... I mean, obviously his soul survives it. Of course it does. This almost feels Eden-like. This almost feels like whatever happens on Earth, this is actually your true home. I suspect that Julian must zone out, must meditate, must be able to go into another place to survive what he's survived. This is sort of the energy of where he goes. I suspect this is a galactic. This is home. I don't know whether home is on Earth though. Let's just pull 1 tarot card for Julian. because you see, the thing is, we all get so bogged down in our lives, whether we're Julian Assange or Joe Bloggs down the street, and whatever our problems are, whether they're huge, I mean, you know, huge like Julian, or whether they're not so big, from a soul perspective, guys, from a place, from that perspective, from eternity, it's nothing to worry about, because you are infinite. You are eternal. One card for Julian. Seven of Cups again. People don't know what to do with him. Don't know what to do with him. He doesn't know who to trust, who to believe. What is truth? What is smoke and mirrors? What is illusion? What is real? What is not? Temperance, patience, patience. Least watched video of the year. Patience is a virtue. He's actually demonstrating patience. It's also the card of healing. Very interesting. I'll look at him again in the new year. Let's move on. So 12th video, yeah, we also talked about the death of Naya Rivera. I won't go back into that. And we talked about the Melbourne lockdown at that time. Just seeing if there's anything relevant. I did say that in the first lockdown, Australia had been spared the ravages of the virus in the first phase due to the country still reeling from the fires. We picked up something about water with Australia, we always do. And the fact that we need to be blessing the water, otherwise we're recycling our anger, our fear, our frustration linked into what's going on with regard to the pandemic. Second wave of the virus gives us all a chance to truly learn the higher lessons many didn't get first time round. Yeah, okay. Let me just have a glug before we go on to number 11 and an appearance from the Heart Squad. So, I said there were 3 members of the Heart Squad in our top 15. The second highest entry regards Heart Squad is, of course, the one and only Michael Jackson. Number 11, Michael Jackson, Guidance for Our Times, was the 11th most watched video of 2020. And I should have actually looked back at what Michael was saying here, because I didn't have time last night, because there's actually quite a lot. He talked about, let me just have a look at what I've written down here. I read out a poem of his called Planet Earth. Maybe I should read that again to you. We did quite a lot in the video, but let me just read this out again. I remember being very moved by it last time. So these are Michael's lyrics to Planet Earth. Planet Earth, my home, my place. A capricious anomaly in the sea of space. Planet Earth, are you just floating by a cloud of dust? A minor globe about to bust, a piece of metal bound to rust, a speck of matter in a mindless void, a lonely spaceship, a large asteroid, cold as a rock without a hue, held together with a bit of glue. Something tells me this isn't true. You are my sweetheart, soft and blue. Do you care? Have you a part in the deepest emotions of my heart? Tender with breezes, caressing and whole, alive with music, haunting my soul. In my veins I felt the mystery of corridors of time, books of history. Life songs of ages throbbing in my blood have danced the rhythm of the tide and the flood. Your misty clouds, your electric storm were turbulent tempests in my own form. I've licked the salt, the bitter, the sweet of every encounter of passion, of heat. Your riotous colours, your fragrance, your taste have thrilled my senses beyond all haste. In your beauty I've known the how of timeless bliss, this moment of now. Planet Earth, are you just floating by a cloud of dust? a minor globe about to bust, a piece of metal bound to rust, a speck of matter in a mindless void, a lonely spaceship, a large asteroid. And then the last two lines are, planet Earth, gentle and blue, with all my heart, I love you. Oh, that is so Michael, isn't it? You can just hear his voice in those words that he wrote. So we talked about that poem. He was giving us guidance about seeing our home as a sanctuary and going into our heart space and our own inner world to counter the heavier lockdown energies that we were going through at the time that I channeled him. We also talked about introvert versus extrovert energies, guidance for what to say to children in these times. I'd have to go back and watch what that was. I would imagine that it would have been along the lines of tell your children, don't you don't have to sugarcoat it. The fact that children are these ancient souls and deserve to know what is actually going on. He talked about souls that are leaving now, how to forgive, tuning into your heart. He talked about the armour of God, wearing a mask, Michael's love of horses. Okay, I don't know, I need to go back and look at that video again. But number 11 was Michael Jackson, Guidance for Our Times. To be honest, when I look at the most popular videos I've ever done on my channel, full stop, I think Michael's about number 2 and 3. So he always figures pretty highly. And yes, I'll bring him through again very soon. It has to be said that over the Christmas period, there was, I think Neverland has been sold. And my gut feel, I haven't brought him in to ask him, but my gut feel, what I got was that the timing of it around Christmas period, which is always a portal, is actually a good thing because it's about letting go the past, letting go of just the energy that's held there. That was, Michael never moved back there because he felt it had been tainted by the inaccurate accusations against him. And I've always felt that the energy of Neverland now basically is above the earth and it wants to land somewhere else. Whether it did ever, maybe it will sort of come back into that space, but I think it's somewhere else. So let's just pull a card for Michael. Which one should we pull, Michael? Hold on a minute, I just need to tune in. Which deck do you want? He wants the Magdalene Oracle, okay. He wants the Magdalene Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. Probably doesn't surprise me because he has a strong association with Christ, and of course had a committed faith through his whole life. He experimented with many different belief systems and was very open-minded. But the energy of Christ definitely followed him through his life. So we've got Mary Magdalene here then, Michael. Let's just have one card, please. One card for Michael. Acceptance and sacred sexuality. And guardian angel on the bottom of the deck as well. Just going to tune into this. Why have we got sacred sexuality? Okay, right, so I don't want to get too deep into this because this could be a whole hour's video. I'm only on number 11. This is something along the lines of, this is the subject for another video with him. He had difficulties, is what he's saying, with regard to truly opening up to another, okay? This is male, female, okay? This is to do with, I'm talking about him, his energy, male, female, opening up to another, being truly intimate in all senses. And by that, I'm talking about emotional intimacy, taking off the mask, being able to show somebody when he was alive who he really was. There were so many walls around him that he had built up for his own protection. And so it's something linked into teaching that wants to come forward for people that find it very hard to be able to see themselves as a sexual being, is the first thing to say. But equally then act upon it and be able to really get into a deep connection with another. It's almost like this card of acceptance is an acceptance of our sexual self. And there's a part of him that found it hard to show that, or certainly to be public with it, okay? The women that he was involved with in his life, the public never saw that. He was never comfortable showing that for whatever reason, but it was because of something within him that is coming up for healing. But equally, he's just reflecting back to us that many of us are like this, that we're scared of a truly deep sexual union with another. But it's not, sacred sexuality, you see, it's not just about the act, it's to do with true intimacy, it's true connection, it's being able to look you in the eyes, and look into each other's heart, to be able to see each other as a soul. It's a huge subject, so I'm going to park that for now. But yeah, number 11, Michael Jackson. Number 10, let's change it up, guys. Part of me rolled my eyes when I saw this, but I shouldn't do this because, it was a good video, but I could easily do videos on this couple and get a lot more views than I ever do, but I'm not going to play that game. I'm not playing the popularity game. Number 10, Meghan and Harry. Meghan and Harry roulette, very high stakes. I haven't particularly wanted to go back into the energy of Meghan and Harry, I have to be honest. Because I find it hard to be neutral with them, and I won't read on subjects where I don't feel I can be very neutral, because I have some opinions of my own about what's going on with those two. But anyway, number 10, Meghan and Harry, very high stakes. In this video, I look at Prince William, the Queen and the monarchy, as well as Harry and Meghan. I basically say it would be helpful to hold them in light, as there don't appear to be any winners here. A sad situation, but long term it looks brighter for Harry at least. Meghan appears to be a survivor no matter what. As a couple, there is considerable challenge around them. I don't want to put any negative energy onto the two of them, but I just can't see it lasting full term. I'm sorry, I just can't. Should we just pull a card as I'm here talking about it? I'll try and ask Metatron to get me into a neutral state. What card do we want? What deck do we want, Metatron? Really? Okay. Queen of the Moon Oracle. I mean, in a way, I'm like, really? Because that wasn't the deck I thought I was going to choose, but Queen of the Moon Oracle, maybe that says it all, really. It does look a bit like Meghan. It's got the dark hair. It's a younger lady. She did sort of want to be queen, which was never going to happen. Oh, yeah, you see, I'm getting a headache now because, I've channeled this. She was Anne Boleyn in another life, so of course she wants to be queen. She was denied that. She was denied her queendom in a previous life. She was Anne Boleyn in another life, got her head chopped off. Look at that. She's holding the world there, but almost looks a bit like a head. Okay, let's just pull a card. I don't even know what I'm asking here. Oh, this is supposed to be a light video, Metatron. Come on. Okay, give me a card then for Harry and Meghan. Archangel Metatron. Amanda, just step out of it, please. Thank you. Harry and Meghan. Metatron. Harry and Meghan. Beauty. Nice. Beauty. That's a nice one. Well, she is beautiful. Nobody can take that away from her. She's a beautiful woman. Beguiled by her beauty is what I'm hearing. Beguiled by her beauty. I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, and I'm going to wish them well. I'm going to truly wish them well. Number 9. Number 9 is, yeah, I love doing this one. Number 9 was the video I did on, it was called SOS, Titanic, China, Dr. Louis, Spock, Leonard Nimoy. So there was a bit of a mixed bag with this, but it was a video that came about because there was a big red flare that was seen in the sky over the UK. And it brought me to the energy of SOS, which brought me to the energy of Titanic. It was all sort of quite interesting the way it all tied together. I channeled John George Phillips, who was the senior wireless operator on Titanic and who was the one who sent out the SOS message. And what came through for him was we were looking at self-sacrifice for the greater good, and also the fact that he was given the God-given strength in the eye of the storm. His energy's sort of coming back to me as I'm talking about it. Yeah, he was. His energy was beautiful. So, yeah, self-sacrifice and being given God-given strength in the eye of the storm. I also channeled William Thomas Steed, who was one of the passengers who died on the Titanic, who was an investigative journalist and editor. And he talked about the fact that we needed an evolution stroke reset in journalism as a profession. And I think, to be honest, we have got ourselves now into such a mess with regard to what we believe. You know, I talk about the middle path a lot in my work, and it's literally like you're either listening to these people, I'm talking about news and media, or you're listening to this, okay? And there's judgment on both sides of the camp that, you know, oh my God, you're listening to MSM, or you're listening to this. And ultimately, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. It always does. It's as though we've gone from one extreme to another. Does the media need a shake-up? Of course it does, absolutely. Are the people who are bent and crooked, for want of a better word, within the media? Of course there are. Are there also paragons of truth and virtue within the media? Of course there are, okay? So William Steed was bringing back this sense of professionalism and standing up for his craft and standing up for true journalists who often will bring through information that you might not like, I might not like, because it doesn't necessarily fit with what we understand about the way the world works at the moment. Or it may be about a particular person that we like, and it's like, well, hold on, you've just discovered all this dirt on them. I don't like that, so I'm going to diss your piece of news. I'm going to just call it fake news because it's not what I want to hear. So, somewhere we need to get back to a place where we can rely on the media to tell us impartially, with non-bias, the news of the day, okay? And we're a long way away from that. But, I feel as though William Thomas Steed is absolutely cheering on certain notable journalists in our world at the moment and media organisations and trying to help them do just that. He talked about the fact that we need an industrial body that is set up for the whole profession and is campaigning for that, okay? So that was interesting. I then channeled Dr. Louis, and I remember that he was the initial whistleblower for the virus, and he died, and yeah, he was the initial whistleblower, and he expressed grave concern for his fellow colleague Dr. Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, who was currently missing in China, his love for the Chinese people, and he gave us a real plea from his heart not to judge the Chinese people by their leaders. I have seen so much hatred towards the Chinese people and towards the Chinese culture. And some of it is coming right from the top. I have to say, the way that Donald Trump talks about the Chinese virus, I think is absolutely appalling. Let's get back to looking at people beyond the leaders, beyond parody, looking at them as human beings. The Chinese people are good people. See them, not the leaders. Okay, so don't diss a whole nation just because of what you see at the front that you might not like. So Dr. Louis was standing up for his people basically and saying they are just like you and me. They are mothers, they are fathers, they are daughters, they are sons. They are trying to make ends meet. They are trying to put food on their table. Most of them are trying to live a good, noble life. And please remember that. It's almost as though the Chinese have become the new whipping boys, for the universe. And it's like humankind does this. It's like we always have to have a baddie. I grew up in the 60s and 70s and it was always the Russians as the baddies. I'm not saying that's what I believed, but I'm talking about the media, and that's the way that the rhetoric that's out there. And now it's like the Chinese. It's like unity consciousness sees beyond this. It sees that they are like you and me. They are our brother and our sister. And anything that is dysfunctional and corrupt at the top of any country, of course, ascension is going to bring out a dismantling of that. And we need to trust and have faith in that, but don't diss a whole population, okay? Dr. Louis, I'd like to channel him again. Now, one of you did say that there's a lady, I wonder if it's this lady, Dr. I, who's on hunger strike in China. Let me just see if I can get up the details on my phone, because, yeah. Okay, I don't have it to hand. I'll try and remember to put it in the description box below, but we need to be sending out our love to her anyway. I think it's one of the people that spoke up about the Chinese cover up, okay, and it's one. I think she's on hunger strike. Okay, we also bought through Leonard Nimoy, and I still can't do the Vulcan signal, but maybe that's something to practice in 2021. Live long and prosper. Leonard Nimoy also brought through a strong environmental plea. He was quite a strong environmentalist. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. It's interesting, I just looked at my clock before doing number 8. I felt like I'm wondering if I need a coffee before I carry on. Yes, I do. I'm going to have a coffee and break. Number 8 is Trump, Biden and the spiritual community, which is why I need to go and get some caffeine. All right, see you in a bit. Bye. Hi everyone, how are you doing? It's me back again to look at number 8 in our countdown of most watched videos of 2020. So number 8 is Donald Trump, Joe Biden and the spiritual community. Yeah, this one threw a bit of a stone into the pond and rippled out. And I was very glad that I had the balls to basically do it, and have no regrets whatsoever in terms of what I said in that video. What I was trying to say, and what a lot of people missed, because a lot of people just thought, oh, you're on Joe's team. It's not a case of being on anybody's team. It was a case of trying to say to people that in a spiritual community, it's okay to have differences of opinion. In fact, you are always going to have differences of opinion. And what I was noting and had noted over the whole of the year was that there seemed to be a creeping fundamentalism coming into the spiritual community, which is if that you didn't see things in a certain way, particularly linked into Trump and Biden as an example, then, you either weren't woke, or, I hate that phrase, you weren't woke, or you didn't know what you were talking about, Or, worst case scenario, if you're on Team Joe, for example, you must be deep state yourself. I know plenty of good people that voted for Joe Biden. I also know plenty of good people that voted for Donald Trump. And at the end of the day, we have to get to a place of spiritual maturity to be able to see each other in terms of each person aligning to what they believe to be the truth and what is their truth, and respecting that. And I think we all fell short in 2020. There was a lot of name calling. There was a lot of division and separation that was coming into our spiritual community. I can't tell you the number of emails and times I had messages coming in to look at this, to look at that, usually linked into some, sort of theory that had been touted by a few people online, some of which caught massive traction. And so because they were catching massive traction and views, must be right. In particular, I can't even remember what the guy was called. I had emails coming in saying, why are you not talking about your new king? What was it? Jeffrey Hallett or something? I don't know. I was just like, come on, please. It's like critical thinking, guys. I also did call out a lot of the QAnon stuff that I was seeing. When I say call out, it's not that I don't respect the fact that you may believe that, because there are people on this channel that absolutely are into that. I do respect that. But what I don't respect is when you come back at me and say, because I don't believe what you believe, then, as I say, I must be batting for the wrong side, or there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong side. There are just different perspectives and different ways of viewing our world. So the Trump, Biden and the spiritual community video was really about that. And I talked about the fact that we must not fall into another fundamentalist trap, as I say, which is if you don't see it this way, you are wrong, Yes, of course, it received flack. I fully expected it to. But the vast majority of people that watched it appreciated me saying it. So I'm glad that I did. I will never follow the crowd for the sake of following the crowd. Okay, so it's just as simple as that. And anybody that follows me, I don't expect you to either. I don't expect you to follow every word I say as gospel. I don't want that for us. I want us to be developing our own critical thinking. But please, 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 let 2021 not be a year where just because a lot of people are saying something, it has to be true. Okay, I am not anti-conspiracy either. I'm into a lot of things that would be called conspiracy theories. But at the end of the day, it's actually about critical thinking. But what I will question, and I will bring in the likes of William Thomas Steed to help me decipher, to sort the wheat from the chaff, basically. Anything else to say on that video? I did talk also about Ivanka Trump and the fact that she had her eye on 2024 or 2028. I think she may have gone off the idea a little bit since I said that, but maybe 2028 may be more realistic. I mean, a lot can change and timelines are very loose. But the reason I brought Ivanka into that video was the fact that I felt that she was the only one that Trump might listen to now, and that the way that he behaves over the next couple of months, I made this video a few months ago, would also either hurt her possible campaign in the future or either help or hinder her. Okay, so it may still be that she's the only one he will end up listening to. I talked about future inaugurations energies and the fact that at inauguration there would be a sacred energy that comes down upon the victor. I talked about the Indigenous vote and that Mother Earth's voice was heard. And I talked about the role of Donald Trump being very much one to expose our shadow. Again, a lot of the spiritual community have spent all of 2020 pointing the finger at other people's shadow rather than looking within at their own. We all need to look at our own shadow. Okay, so that's what he was here to help us do, in my view. Okay, moving on. I don't want to say any more about Trump or Biden, but as I say, I'll do an America video after inauguration. Number 7. Number 7 was the red pill, blue pill, violet pill teaching, as it became known. Of course, not a new concept. People have been talking about duality teaching for decades, hundreds of years. I just called it violet pill. Okay, that's the way that Metatron was asking me to talk about it. And if you remember, we had this beautiful mandala that was made by Helen Johnson. I hope I've got your name right there, in Australia, and she's entitled it Owning My Own Shadow. I never know whether it's meant to be upright or this way. I actually like it both ways. This way looks like an eye, and it looks like the way that we view the world, and this way looks like a keyhole to me. But the violet pill teaching was really linked into, again, helping us understand duality, and that we all have dark and light within ourselves, that also we have all been both dark and light. We have had lifetime after lifetime after lifetime where we have played every single role that there is to play on this planet. And if we could only see through the eyes of the violet pill, we would truly remember that truth. And when we remember the truth that we have been both dark and light, and we have both dark and light within us, we are more able to let go of the judgment and the stone throwing of those that are out there that are somehow different to us, because they're not. They're just choosing to perform that role and experience that role in this lifetime. But you yourself will have had lifetimes where you have, for example, murdered somebody, where you have betrayed somebody, where you've been unfaithful to somebody, where you've screwed somebody over. You'll have done all of that. I absolutely guarantee you'll have done all of that. You'll also have had lifetimes where you have done the opposite. What are you in this lifetime? Only you can answer that. But I can guarantee that you will still be a mixture of both light and shadow. So the violet pill helps us to see both sides. And violet, because again, we had such a political year, didn't we? And we had red against blue. And again, if you bring red and blue together, it makes violet. Okay, it's the middle ground teaching, which is, I think, so needed at this time. I'm just looking down at my notes that I made, though, with regard to that video, and I'm just going to read what I said. It says, many are sharing alleged but unproven in a court of law faces and names online to awaken us to evil, but we need to go beyond that to the next level. Waking up to darkness is just a stepping stone to much bigger truths, and they all require that you do the inner work. Projection, blame game, finger pointing, and calling out others will not take us anywhere, and is the separation game loophole that has kept us in this duality consciousness for thousands of years. God is in control of justice, and we are simply asked to work on ourselves. I also took us through a blessing of wisdom and calling in our higher self. I asked about what separation actually is, and what I believe separation energy to be is actually it's the separation where you feel that you're separate from God. And the truth is you're never actually separate from God. You are always able to be aligned to God if you choose to be aligned to God. And then, maybe it's worth rewatching the video actually, because it also talked about, or I was shown an analogy of two camps of tired soldiers who want to put down the game. The game being these roles that we're playing in alternate lifetimes, coming back and choosing, dark or light, but equally judging the ones who are playing the roles also. I said the Great Awakening is not what you think it is. Flip of a coin decides which side we are on. The real awakening is integrating and understanding both as aspects of you. Take off the rose-coloured spectacles and see who you really are, then the game stops. Darkness showcases the light. A request by Metatron to stop running from yourself and your shadow. Respect other people's awakening and their process. And don't push Don't push stage 1 red pill on others. You have an aftercare responsibility if you do so. To be honest, there's so much in that video. I actually would encourage you, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't know the teaching, to go back and rewatch it, because I can't summarise it in 2 minutes, okay? But number 7 was the violet pill teaching on duality. Right, number 6. I'm just going to see whether I can do all of this in one video. Let me just see what the top 6 are. No, I'm going to do this one and then I'll do the top 5 separately. Number 6, sixth most watched video, was the first of the COVID videos, okay? It's titled COVID-19 Video 4. And what do I talk about that's different in this particular video? I was showing you channeled pieces of artwork linked showing the journey from infection to health. The final piece of art, which was done by Jane Tricker, was this one, which is actually on the Meta Pirate spray itself. So this is like encoded artwork that also links into prevention, protection, and cure. So the Meta Pirate antiviral energy has been, very popular through 2021. And yeah, this artwork also inspired this spray. So I was taking you through that. I talked about the fact that this is the event and how you respond, whether in love or fear, determines the wave linked into ascension. I talked a little bit, I was just starting to talk about the wearing of masks. I talked about the mask of indifference. What indifference means in this context is a lack of concern or interest, i.e. it helps not feed the fear of what is out there. You see, to me, I don't want this whole video to become about whether you wear a mask or whether you don't wear a mask. I mean, we've been talking about that for the whole of 2020, and frankly, it's got a bit boring, I think. You either do or you don't. But, when I wear a mask into the supermarket, I don't wear it thinking that I've become victimised or, subjugated. I don't give it an awful lot of thought. It's just something that I do, and then I take it off when I come out. So ultimately, these things that are there, you can either really fight against, and if you want to fight against, that's fine, do it. But for me, it's like, where does your energy go? And to me, part of the Metatron teaching is really to see from a higher perspective. I know that ultimately we're not all going to be walking around in masks forever. So if I'm going to have to wear a mask for, a few months or whatever, I'll wear a mask for a few months. I'm not going to get, the great British expression, my knickers in a twist about it. Sorry if that triggers people, but I'm talking about my experience, and that is my experience. And there was a beautiful song that was given in that 6th video as well, by Archangel Metatron, by Labi Sifri, Something Inside So Strong. Do you know that? Do you remember that song? Something inside so strong. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. Worth looking at that again. Okay, I'm going to leave this video here, and then I'm going to do the top 5 separately, but I will just like to close out on a slightly lighter note. One of you left a comment on my YouTube channel last night, Barb Marquette. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name. Thank you. What you did was you said that you had made notes from the Heart Squad videos that I've done. And it's literally just a few little lines of what you took out of each of the recent videos of the Heart Squad. And I'm just going to read it. Thank you so much for doing this. So you say, my notes from the Heart Squad that I carried forward to my 2021 journal include Prince. In a nutshell, practice your craft and do the work. George Michael, focus on the beauty in the world and tune into your heart. Aretha Franklin, be gentle in your speech Music heals the soul. Princess Diana, sisterhood is needed now, and behind the clouds the sun is always shining. Audrey Hepburn, do one charitable act and read the classics. John Lennon, bask in human kindness, envision peace. JFK, take back control and give attention to the light bringers. Robin Williams, find your balance, you have a friend in me. And Kate Spade, watch your boundaries. Watch Your Boundaries was about learning to say no and not be a people pleaser, living your own life. So thank you, Bob, for that. It was beautiful. As I say, we've had 2 members of the Heart Squad so far in the top 15, Alan Rickman and Michael Jackson. There is one other person to figure in the top 5. You're probably going to guess who it is anyway, but that is in video 2. I'm going to upload this now anyway and then come back for the top 5. Hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. I'm also going to do the top 10 sprays that we've sold in 2020. And I have to say that actually the 6th most popular thing in our shop has also been my own Oracle card, so I'm so pleased to see that. But I'm going to do the top rundown of top 10 sprays as well in another video on another day. These are just gifts from me to you, these videos, to sort of tide us over into New Year, consolidate what we've been doing in 2020, and then we'll bring in some new teaching for the new year. Lots of love. Thank you all so much for your patience, your love, your support with me. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Bye.